gaslighting. So what if he did all of those different things? Let's say it was 100% true. Did you have 2 abortions in a marriage? I sense an immense amount of cap within this one.
Physically, mentally abusive. Do you remember that you used to beat me and hit me and choke me and strangle me when I would come out?
But again, no police report. This is how we look at this bullshit when women say you've been hitting me and beating me and doing all this. Why you didn't report that? Why you didn't go to the police? If he did all these bad things, the man with the money and you being the cheerleader at the end of the race, where's the police report? Why did you not get away from that situation? Oh, it's because he had money and also he was fantastic. Okay, yeah.
The hospital because I have single beta thalassemia disease. Do you remember that? Do you remember that you were addicted to sex? Do you remember that? Do you remember me catching you with a man? Do you remember that? Do you remember you using the money that I created to pay for an entire woman's place? Do you remember that? Do you remember, taking the kids to Chicago and not telling me? Do you remember unilaterally filing for divorce and then moving back in with your mistress? Do you remember that? It's just, your memory is so strange. Like, do you remember that you didn't have any money for 5 years and the studio physically told you that, basically told everybody that you were dead. And so I had to write a pilot for you. Do you remember that I wanted to be a mathematician, but instead I decided to be in a rap group with you? Do you remember that? Do you remember that when no one else was talking about you, I produced and wrote Kelvideos Live? Do you remember? Do you remember I also wrote and produced Ganked? Do you remember that? Do you remember that movie that you did with Cedric the Entertainer, the one that I gave you? Do you remember that you took that and you sold it for $2,500? Do you remember that? Because your memory is so interesting to me, because I don't know why you didn't remember that I don't even like bodily fluids. So that I was actually relieved to find out when
You don't like bodily fluids, but you got pregnant twice within a marriage. And they got 2 abortions. Girl, this is cap.